Hello folks, Jason Crispin here, Grazing Acres Farm. And you know, I think it's time for a cattle update on my personal herd. Since I started my personal cattle herd a couple years ago, every year I've released a video showing their progress, what the herd looks like. And over this period of time, a lot of folks have grown used to seeing these video updates. So I've had some requests to keep them going, and that's what we're going to do today. So who you're looking at here is Miley. If you followed my herd updates over the last couple years, you know that Miley was a bottle calf when we bought her. For that reason, Miley is very used to physical contact. She'll let you do just about anything to her and doesn't seem to mind. You may also remember that in 2017, the neighboring Amish bull jumped the fence and came over and mixed in with our herd. During that time, he knocked two of them up, one of them being Miley. What you're looking at behind Miley is her calf. Now I'm going to try and find some video of Miley and her calf standing. I tried to get them up. They're kind of lazy this morning. And I'm going to overlap this video so you can kind of get an idea on their physical appearance, how they look, get some idea on a height on her calf, which is rather tall. And I'm not real crazy about that. I'm also not real crazy about the fact that she has horns, which I'm going to assume that Miley threw and not the Amish's bull. But we will find out, because Miley is now bred with our Pharo bull that's on the farm. So she'll be calving this coming spring with a Pharo calf. Miley's calf, though, on the other hand, she's really calm. She's a good girl. But I am going to process her out. I can't see keeping another bull's genetics on the farm. He wasn't real impressive to look at when he was here. And the more I look at her, I just think the best option is to process her out. And maybe down the road, we'll end up keeping one of Miley's calves. Time will tell. So I'm going to overlap down at the bottom of the screen ages of everybody. Like, for instance, Miley. So as I go along, you're going to see dates pop up, and that's going to be the age of each one of my cows or heifers. Okay, so now we're going to continue on up the hill here to my steer. And if you remember back, not long after this guy was born, his mom bloated and died on me. And for that reason, I gave this guy a lot of extra attention. It was a rather sad moment in my short farming career, but it is what it is, and it worked out the way it did for a reason. But anyway, if you look at him, he's looking pretty good. He's starting to get some girth to him. He actually just turned 2 on the 9th of January. So once we start to graze a little bit, we're going to go ahead and process him out. I want to see some more fat right up here around his tail head. That's what I want to see. He's a nice good boy though. He's nice and calm. But that's all that extra attention I put into him that made him that calm. He's a lot like Miley. He'll let you put your hands on him about anywhere you want. Doesn't have a whole lot of issues with it. This is the fellow I call Little Man. He looks pretty good. So this will be my very first steer or cow of any kind to process out. So I'm pretty excited about it, but at the same time, it will break my heart when he leaves. And that's basically because of all the extra attention that I've given him to get him where he is today. But, you know, it is what it is. I knew when I got into this, the end process is process them out, make some meat. So I'm going to have to deal with that, and it's going to take time, but it is what it is. So to continue on down the line, right over here we have Red. And many of you probably remember me talking about her recently. Had trouble getting her bred. But I think that has since fixed itself, and I believe she is now bred. See, her last, the last occasion I seen her with the bull was the 20-something of December. And I have yet to see the bull back with her or have any interest in her. So I firmly believe that she is now bred. Now this calf that you see, this bull calf that she's feeding right this moment, is from the Pharo bull that is here on the farm. Last year I sent Red and Daisy and number 176 up to the guy's house that I manage for, and he locked him in with the bull, and a little over 2 months later he brought him back to me. And the results were, this year I got this beautiful healthy little bull calf. No assistance. Came up one day, she was in labor. I hung back and watched. A few minutes later we had a little baby. Very, very good. Now Red is not so much one that will let you pet her. She doesn't really like physical contact, but you know, that's something I've been working on. You know, when you start to do this bale grazing and you're out here every day enrolling the bales, Red's one that likes to be right up front and help push the bale as you're enrolling. And for this reason, or during this time, I've been taking every opportunity I have to get her a little bit more used to me. So as she's beside me helping me push the bale, I'll reach over and scratch her on the back. About the time she turns and looks at me, I go back to pushing the bale. Look at that. You're wanting him off of her. Get off of that. So I've been working with her. She's getting a lot better. I'm not going to say she's going to let me touch her now, but I'm surely going to try. Come on, Red. This is a test, honey. It's a test. Red, let me touch you, Red. See, he didn't want anything to do with me. Very, very good girl. I like her markings. I like her height. Very good girl. I did have some concerns with maybe with her not getting bred, but that could be due to all the bull calves we had running around, and that caused some disturbance in the process. So let's move on down the line. Big Daisy. Daisy came with Little Man's mother. They were purchased at the same time from the same farm. I don't exactly know Daisy's age, so I don't have an age to put down at the bottom. I'm going to guess she's 10, 12 years old, but that's just strictly a guess. Daisy had a calf for us 2 years ago, and then last summer she had this fine looking young man, which is also from the Pharo bull that we have here on the farm that a lot of you've already seen. So one thing that made Daisy going into labor very interesting was just minutes after I noticed her going into labor, I get a text from the wife that back here at the house, one of my beehives is swarming. So I've got a hive swarming and I've got a cow in labor, and we've got roughly an 1/8 to a 1/4 mile between the two. So I'm running back and forth trying to observe where this swarm is going to land and to make sure Daisy is doing all right with her calf. It was very complex and a very, very hectic moment. So here's a quick overview of what that looked like. Pretty nice. But when I first got Daisy, I was a little intimidated by her. She's rather large framed, which I'm not particularly crazy about, but she does have nice calves. So for that reason, she's still in my herd. Daisy's a really good girl, and I've gotten really used to her over the last couple years. She'll now let me pet her, do a lot of different things to her, but I don't put a whole lot of pressure on Daisy just because she's an older girl. On Daisy. Just stand here and let you rub her butt. Watch. No, she won't. So see, I take signs like that when they move away as I don't want to be bothered, and I don't put any more pressure on them. Okay, now let's go see if we can find Daisy's daughter, which is now currently bred, and she was bred to the Pharo bull also. Might be a little tricky to find her though. I'm not sure where she's going to be. Okay, let me pause this. Okay, I think I found her. She's going to be the one here at the front of the four-wheeler scratching on her noggin. This is the one I call Little D, and this is Daisy's daughter. She is, let's see, I think I can actually remember this one off the top of my head. She will be 2 on February 28th, 2019. She looks pretty good, a little bit more leggy than I like, but just like Daisy, I'm expecting, just like Daisy, for her to have nice casts for me, and I like that. Little D is very docile. You might remember I did a video on sticking a nose flap on her to wean her from Daisy. But Little D is very calm. She'll let you pet her, she'll let you scratch on her. She does get a little rambunctious and a little wild sometimes, so you gotta keep your guard up, because she will come right at you with her head. And it's not that she wants to hurt you, she just likes to rub really rough. So that would be Little D, Daisy's daughter. From just Daisy, which is standing right there, I've got the little bull calf, which she had last July 2018. Hey, get off that before you break it. Get off there. Come on, get off there. I got Little D, which is now bred and will calf this summer along with Daisy. So things are looking up. It's nice to have a little family circle going on there. So let's see now. Casey, let's go find Casey. Casey is my other bottle calf that we bought at the same time we bought Miley. Now, to go back a little bit, Daisy and little man's mom, which died of bloat, Miley and Casey all came from the same farm. The people weren't exactly honest with me about everything they told me, and I'm just gonna go ahead and throw this in there now. If you're buying cattle, you're thinking about getting into this, don't believe everything everybody tells you. They will lie to you to make a sale. I see Casey right down here. Now, Casey, we were kind of on the fence of what to do with her. Last summer, she was really skinny, really leggy, and at that point, I was thinking maybe we just sell her or process her out. The wife's kind of fond of Casey, so I figured leaning more towards selling her than processing her out. Just because the wife just didn't really want to have anything to do with processing old Casey here. But over the last few months, Casey's filled out rather nicely. But over the last few months, Casey's filled out rather nicely, and I decided to go ahead and keep her in my operation. So she is now bred to our Pharo bull, and we're expecting a calf from Casey about mid-spring. Pretty excited about that. Casey, just like the rest, you're a good calm girl. I'll let you pet her. Won't you, Casey? And let's see here. If you remember, I had a white and black, she had a white face limo cross. And she had some rather large horns, and I ended up trading her. I traded her to the guy that I managed for one of the cows that he had, or heifers he had here on the farm at the time. I knew a little bit about these cattle that he purchased. I had some background on them, and I really liked their genetics. You know, that's one thing I can't stress enough is genetics. I learned way before I got into the cattle how important genetics are. Many of you may not know, but I am a beekeeper, and I've been a beekeeper for 10 years. I've only been into cattle 5. And just like in cattle, genetics are high up on the list. If you've got genetics, you've got something. If you don't have genetics, you've got your hands full, because all the struggles you're going to have. So when this girl came in, purchased from the guy I managed for, along with the others that he bought at the time, he gave me the phone number of the guy that was bringing them, just so that we would be able to keep in contact when he was delivering them. I ended up shooting him a couple texts, and we got to talking, and he shot me back pedigree of this one here. And I looked it over, and I was really, really impressed. She's a Gelbvieh Angus cross. She's got Pharo genetics in her, and that really intrigued me. So I had this one with horns, and the guy I managed for wasn't real crazy about her being here, especially during the time of feeding hay. You know, his train of thought, and he's got more experience than I do, was that anybody with horns around a feeder just becomes a bully. They use his horns to push and shove others out of the way, and he thought that would be a major problem, and which makes sense. But I wasn't seeing that attitude from this girl. She was very calm, very laid back, and I think maybe now if I would ask him today if he sees the same thing from her, he maybe just agree with me. But anyway, I went ahead and traded her for this girl right here. And last summer, when Red and Daisy went to his farm to get bred, I sent this girl right here with him. And this year, she dropped me a beautiful little heifer calf, which we're going to have to go back up over the hill to go see, because she's not here with her mama. So since I didn't get this one here at a very young age, it's taking longer to get her used to physical contact. Why is physical contact important? I just feel that if there's anything on the cow or the calf that needs to be treated or looked at closely, it just makes it so much easier if you can walk up and put your hands on them. And it's taken a while for me to work with this lady here, but I've finally made it. She will now let you walk right up and pet her anywhere you want. But it takes time. They got to build trust in you, and trust doesn't come overnight, does it, girl? Trust doesn't come overnight, does it? Takes time. Very good girl, very, very pretty. So now let's go see if we can find her baby, which I seen just up this way, which I call her Fluffy because she is nothing but fluff. So this would be her daughter. She was born in May of 2018, so before long she'll be a year old. To this point, she's maintaining a short frame that could change as she gets a little older, but I really like Fluffy here. Fluffy's actually getting ready to go with Miley's calf, getting ready to be weaned, and then I'm going to take them back to my house. And the reason for that being is we got the bull running around here in the mix. This one here's pushing 8.5 months. Miley's calf is pushing 9.5 months. So before long they're going to come in heat, and I don't want to have any mistakes in getting anybody bred too early in the game. So for that reason, these two will go back to my house. That one will stay until she's fat. This one here will come back later in the summer to be bred. So very excited about that, and I'm very excited to see my herd is growing. So many of you have asked, how do you pay your lease for your cattle on your farm? Well, there is a set fee for this land. There's 176 acres, and there is a set fee for the lease. Now, the way my portion works is I've actually found a chart, and I'll link that down in the video description. Now, it may not be accurate for your region, but it'll give you an idea of what I'm looking at. This chart tells you how much, on average, it costs to feed a calf her size, a cow daisy size, per day, per month, whatever. And from there you do calculations and you're able to come up with a monthly figure per head based on how much grass they eat. So I have 7 adults altogether, counting the calves and everybody. I have 11 head. For my 11 head, on a monthly basis, it's just shy of $100 a month to feed them. And that's during the grazing season. During the winter, when we're feeding hay, I substitute paying the rental fee for purchasing my own hay. So during the winter, I don't have a rental fee. So that's how it works. It works out rather well. And we're growing, and I'm very excited about that. And last but not least is Mr. Norm. This is my Jersey steer, and he's not on the leased farm, he's back at my house. He's the only one I have here at this current time, but I plan to bring some of my heifers here when I start to wean them, and I'll combine them with Norman and give him some company. But Norm was born on, let's see your tag, Norm, March 18th, 2017. So in March, he'll be 2 years old. He's never seen the first bit of grain. He is strictly grass-fed. He likes to be petted, as you can tell. But for a Jersey, I don't think he looks too bad. I've never raised a Jersey before. He is my first. So here in a couple months, I'll be learning a lot about how much he weighs and all that good stuff. I hear there's a pretty decent market for grass-fed Jersey, so that ought to be interesting too, and get to know a little bit about that. Norman. Norm's a good boy. He likes to rub on stuff, that's for sure, with these horns. I don't know if it's aggression, just feels good to his horns, or what it is. Did not have any pasture at all until I got him, and now I have roughly 2 acres pastured in. Not a very big area, but having Norman here, or the Jersey, he's helping to create some fertility. Not a whole lot, mind you, he's here by himself, but you can see the bale feeder over there on the other side of my brush pile. I move that around. Norm's able to make some better soil, and in return, make it better for future cattle to be here. So in a couple months I'll learn a lot about Norm, how much he weighs. I don't really have a clue. He does have the scrawny little Jersey butt, like you see on everybody, but for the most part I think he looks pretty good. You know, with the beef cattle, they get the fat tail head when they're ready to be processed. I don't know how that works with Jerseys. Will he get a fat tail head? I don't know. I'm sure I'm going to have to go slightly over 2 years to get some weight on him and get him to where I want before I process him. But we'll do it, won't we, Norm? We'll do it. So that is Norman. So I hope this little update has did some justice for you. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. If you like the video, throw me a thumbs up. That'll help boost it in the YouTube search ranks and make it easier for other grazers to find. If you haven't subscribed, please take time to do so. Fluffy would love to see you come back and look at her. Wouldn't you, Fluffy? Wouldn't you, Fluffy? Fluffy, good girl. Fluffy's a good girl. Say bye-bye, Fluffy. Say we'll see you next week.